Sebastian. This is the final stakeholder presentation for today. We will be having future ones in the future workshops. Sebastian Sierra is a policy manager at the San Diego Community Power, and he also has a breadth of experience on legislative and regulatory affairs, as well as with the CPUC. Go ahead, Sebastian.
Thank you very much, Murtaza, and thank you so much for inviting us to CP. We're very excited to be here and share with you all a recent program that we've been working on really for the past 2 years, and tell you a little bit more about it. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So for a little bit of background, in 2013, the Assembly established AB 327. What AB 327 did is that it directed the PUC to design alternatives to the NEM program. So what we think of as rooftop solar, and particularly from an equitable and accessibility point of view, in that renters and people living in multifamily homes oftentimes cannot benefit from the benefits that come from rooftop solar. So the PUC established a series of programs. I won't go into all of that detail, but I will highlight for the purpose of this conversation, 2 of them. In 2018, the PUC created 2 programs that oftentimes go hand in hand. They have a wonky name, but they are called Disadvantaged Communities Green Tariff and Community Solar Green Tariff Programs, or DAC-GT, CS-GT. These programs were created in 2018 for IOUs and existing CCAs. At the time, STCP was not around. And so there were various decisions, as you can see here on this screen, and a resolution which provided capacity allocation to those existing LSCs. Since STCP was not in existence at the time, we did not receive one, but we became aware of it in late 2019. And by the end of 2019, those IUs and CCAs were required to submit implementation plans to become program administrators for this program. Next slide, please. So what exactly do these programs do? As I mentioned, they were created to address the equitable question of not everybody owning a single family home and having access to a rooftop for rooftop solar. So DAC-GT and CS-GT are pretty similar with some differences. On eligible customers, DAC-GT is available for CARE-FARA eligible customers. So these are what you would consider low-income customers living in disadvantaged communities as designated by Cal Enviro Screen. CS-GT is available also for residential DAC customers, so living in disadvantaged communities. But the generating facility has a minimum of 50% of the generating load needs to be provided to low-income customers or CARE-FARA customers. The remaining 25% can be provided to non-low-income customers living in DACs. And then the extra 25% can be provided to what we would call a community sponsor. And I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later. These customers under both programs would receive 100% renewable energy, and they would receive a 20% bill discount on their otherwise applicable tariff. So whatever tariff you're on with SDG&E or with us, then you would receive an additional 20% on the cost. On project location for DAC-GT, these have to be, and for CS-GT, these have to be new build resources. And so for DAC-GT, those projects need to be located in a DAC within SDG&E's service territory. And with CS-GT, They also need to be located in DACs, but those DACs need to be within 5 miles of a subscribing customer's census tract. So we would think of these as hybrid local projects that would be close to where you live. Here's the project size. DAC would be 500 kW to 200 megawatts, and then CSGT doesn't have a minimum, and it goes up to 3 megawatts. There is no community sponsor required for DAC, but because of the hybrid local component of CSGT, it is required at least one sponsor. This can be the County of San Diego. This can be a local school or a nonprofit. They would be responsible for promoting the project, making it accepted in that community, and as part of that, they can have one of their facilities. So say, for example, the county would work with a local developer. They would place a generating facility next to a gymnasium, for example. That gymnasium can have up to 25%. They can have their load reduced or matched by up to 25% of the generating facility's total capacity. And then also receive a 20% bill discount on that gymnasium's total bill. There is a cost cap on these projects. It is a little bit wonky, but it is to cover for higher expenses. Since these projects would be more local, prices tend to be a little bit higher. And they do require CPUC approval since this is a CPUC program. What I do want to highlight is that this is a reimbursable program by the PUC, and what we are effectively seeking is that we untap a source of funds that is provided by public purpose program charges. And so everybody here on this call, when you pay your bill, you pay into those PPP funds. Those funds get put together, get locked up in a bank account to use for different programs. And this is one of those programs. And we like to say that because of having us around, we're pursuing this program, and so we are unlocking access to those funds that San Diego's residential customers are already paying into. So I understand it's a wonky program, but we're very excited about it because of the potential it has to reduce customers' bills. Next slide, please. In terms of next steps, STCP, as I mentioned, we've been working on this for the past couple of years. In 2019, we were made aware. So for those who may not be aware, STCP was formed on October 1st, 2019. And then in 2020, at the end of 2020, was when we became aware of this program. Since then, we've been growing as an agency. If you want to learn more about us, please go to sdcommunitypower.org. But since then, we've been learning more about it and gearing up to submit an implementation advice letter to become a program administrator. We concluded our process last Wednesday. We submitted our advice letter with the PUC, and we are expecting approval in the new year. At that point, we will officially become APA. And that's when the program design and implementation will begin. Due to just the fact that there are no existing resources located in DACs within the county, we have to build new resources, and that takes time. So we are anticipating customers to be enrolled and benefiting from this program in roughly 2025, which is roughly the time that we set out RFPs, we go through that PPA process, negotiation, et cetera, and then getting actual new steel on the ground built and working. So happy to answer more questions. I understand it's a big program, but we're excited about it. We would become the CCA with the largest allocation in the state. And so that's why we're here, to get those access.
Thank you so much, Sebastian, for sharing with us about this residential solar program in disadvantaged communities. And it's also congratulations on your 3-year anniversary. That just it's a lot to accomplish in a short time. So with the information you presented, and I'm kind of asking a similar question to the other panelists as well. We are trying to gather ideas and suggestions for action in decarbonizing the electric sector. So if you were to kind of give me a thumbnail sketch, what would it be about? How do we decarbonize the electric sector in San Diego?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think SCCP's actions in pursuing this program early on hammer at that question, in the sense that we are trying to provide low-income customers with 100% renewable energy, with a building out a new resource, and working on adding storage as well, to the earlier points of ensuring that any new solar is paired with storage. So ensuring that those vulnerable populations, those low-income DAC customers that oftentimes don't have the means to and the wherewithal to install rooftop solar, to pay a little bit extra for Power 100 tier, and who are struggling on their bills. And so pursuing programs like these that really puts them first in trying to decarbonize their generation can really go a long way, in my opinion.
And thank you so much for that, Sebastian. I going back to the role you have as a CCA in scoping our region and the lessons you learned from it. I think you are the second largest in the state, and if not one of the largest in the countries now. What do you think, what kind of knowledge gaps are you coming up against? And particularly, are there lessons learned from outside our region that we can learn from as well?
Yeah, as a new load serving entity, LSC, NCCA, we are working very quickly and efficiently to get up to speed with everything that occurs in the energy industry, and with that, I think we're doing a pretty good job. As it applies to community solar and solar access programs as a whole, I would say that the concept of community solar is fairly new in California. As you saw earlier from the slides, legislation was passed in 2013, and then a series of programs was utilized in 2018. And then I see Joe mentioning AB 2316 by Assemblymember Chris Ward. That is a new bill that is being looped into an existing proceeding. So just to get a little technical at the moment, the California Public Utilities Commission has opened, or originally opened what's called as an application for review of the green access programs. And this is turning out to be just of a total review on solar access programs, community solar in the state. And so as part of it, they're going to be taking a look at these two programs that I mentioned, but they're also going to be looking at Assemblymember Ward's AB 2316 and how that plays into the whole picture. And they're also entertaining party proposals from Grid Alternatives, the Coalition for Community Solar Access, on what else should we do to bring community solar here to the state and get us up to speed to other states like Minnesota and Illinois.
Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian. One last question, and this is kind of important for the county. That's why I need to ask you this. This is about regional collaboration. And as I had described, we have a finite number of stakeholders in this region that kind of in some ways drive some of the policy direction. And what role do you see the county playing in bringing everyone to the table for for regional action?
Yeah, another great question, and I think mine will be similar to Samantha's from earlier in utilizing the county's role and presence in the unincorporated communities, also utilizing the authority that the county has on land use, on permitting and siting. I particularly think that as we move forward to a more decarbonized system, ensuring that projects are streamlined and approved as quickly as possible, but also going through the right means, will ensure that we can meet our compliance obligations, that we can get new local resources online. And so I really see that as key for the county and for the electricity providers here in the region.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. And with that concludes the stakeholder component of our presentations today.